Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Andy Brown. I'm from the Access Group, and I'm joined this afternoon by Iqbal Bahia from Kirkstall Precision Engineering. Now, they've been in business for 30 years. They're a manufacturing company based over in Leeds, manufacture a range of items, specialising in the aerospace, motorsport, medical devices arena. Iqbal is the operations director, and he's kindly agreed to join us today to give us a bit of an insight into how they've adopted and changed to the current situation that we all find ourselves in. So good afternoon, Iqbal. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well.
Again, thanks for joining us today, Iqbal. Really wanted to get the perspective of someone like yourself who's at the cutting edge of manufacturing and having to face the changes that we've all gone through. I mean, broadly speaking, what are some of the measures you've put in place as a business recently? How have you adopted and changed to the current situation?
Well, Andy, this whole pandemic of COVID-19 and the coronavirus, it's been a massive impact, not just to Kirkstall Precision, but I think to the whole global economy. First and foremost, staff welfare was key on our agenda. And what we had to do really was, we were quite lucky, we were very proactive. So we've already bought PPE such as gloves, masks, sanitizing stations. So the first thing we actually did was we implemented quite a strict PPE and hand sanitizing regime within the organisation.
Right.
It was important to keep our employees safe, and we tried in the early stages to implement this 2-metre social distancing rule. As you can appreciate, in a manufacturing environment, that could be quite difficult. And also, without much government guidelines in the start of this outbreak, I think there was a lot of uncertainty of what businesses should and shouldn't do. So one of the things that we actually did was we looked at the impact of it, and the impact for us was dramatic. Literally overnight, our order book fell by 50%, purely because 80% of our turnover is in the medical sector. And as soon as the government announced that they were stopping routine surgery, they were stopping elective surgery, a lot of our major customers said, well, all the NHS resources are now being used to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, routine operations are suspended. And what our customers did literally overnight said, look, guys, routine operations are suspended for at least 3 months. There'll be no hip replacements, no knee replacements, apart from trauma, and we don't need our products. So a lot of our customers overnight started cancelling and deferring orders, basically. And we saw a reduction by 50% straight away. And then really we had to take a course of action. And once the government announced this, the board of directors, we had a meeting, and it was a question of, okay, we need a plan now. How do we react to this? It was there. We had to deal with it. There's no point panicking. So we came up with a 3-point plan, really. The first plan was really to look at additional sources of revenue. What else could we do to bring in other business? And then we looked at the government's call for help to manufacturing industry for ventilator parts. And we were quite fortunate. We got in contact with the relevant bodies, and through Rolls Royce, we were very fortunate to win some contracts for 4 or 5 components for ventilators.
And would you normally deal with Rolls Royce? Is that one of your regular customers?
No, not really, not at all. We wouldn't. We deal with lots of other blue chip companies, but not Rolls Royce from a medical perspective. And we were quite fortunate to win components for the UK ventilator challenge. We put that into our plan. The second thing we had to look at was fundamentally what other help and support was available to the business, and we looked at the government's job retention scheme, furloughing of employees. So to try and protect jobs, really, we had to furlough 60% of the workforce and come down to a single shift. So that was the second part of the plan. A third and most important part of the plan was we had to come up with a very robust cash flow plan for the remainder of the year. Because back in late February, early March, I don't think anybody really knew where this pandemic was going, how long it would last.
It was on the news and it was in people's minds, but no one, I think, really appreciated the impact it was going to have, did they really?
No, it's like Donald Rumsfeld once said, I don't know what I don't know, and I just don't believe anybody knew it. So there's so many unknowns with this thing, we didn't know where it was going. So we looked at our cash flow plan and we applied for the government's coronavirus business interruption loan, which again, we got lots of help and support from our bank, and we're very successful in getting that, and we've got a sufficient loan to take us through the end of the year. So the 3 things really was additional revenue working on ventilator parts, using the job retention furlough scheme and getting the civil loan in place. So once we had these things cemented in, we felt a little bit more comfortable more than anything else. You know, you don't have panic stations in these scenarios. You just have to deal with them. So that's what we did there.
And is that, did you find access to those services and sort of, I suppose, access to finance quite easy to was it an easy thing, or did you find it difficult? Did you find obstructions there?
I don't think we found any obstructions. It wasn't easy. I think the key thing was you had to do your due diligence, you had to do the work, you know, and I think in a lot of these cases, people thought, oh, well, I need to apply for a loan. And even though these loans were government backed, you had to have a robust cash flow
of course,
in place, because what you're saying is the interruption to your business is purely down to the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's not down to mismanagement. It's not down to a recession. It's purely down to, if this virus wasn't here, would the business be normal? Yes, it would. So I think you had to do your homework. I think the government's website was very helpful. But it took a bit of time.
I spoke to a lot of customers and businesses out there, and they all say the similar thing, actually, that they do praise the support actually that's been out there and offered. But I mean, from a perspective of, you know, I guess the environment, for, you know, your working environment, how would you say, you know, it's affected the team, you know, in terms of team spirit and morale? You know, how has staff managed to cope with it? You know, has it been difficult change for them? Have they got on with it? Have they took it in their stride? How have things changed from that perspective?
I think it was not just difficult for us at Kirkstall Precision. I think it was difficult for everybody in the nation. There were a lot of unknowns, uncertainties going around. So from a morale point of view, I think in the UK, we've got a bit of this Dunkirk spirit in us, haven't we? When things get tough, when things get tough, it's, you know, backs against the wall, stiff upper lip, let's get on with it. And I think we were under extreme pressure, because I think first and foremost, from a morale point of view, people are unsure about their own safety.
Yeah.
Will I catch the virus at work? Will it be passed on? What can't I do? So by addressing these things first, by doing the furlough scheme, by putting in the safe working practices and issuing the PPE, I think we ease people's minds a little bit. But I have to say morale, especially by winning the Rolls Royce business to do the ventilator parts, we actually found people were going that extra mile. That Dunkirk spirit did show, especially, you know, in March and April. I mean, people worked through their Easter holidays just to make sure they could get these ventilator parts out. So it was very, very reassuring to see that in these uncertain times as well, how the team really pulled together.
On site, you mentioned you tried to implement the sort of the 2 meter rule. It's difficult to do that in every single business that I've come across. You know, how have you managed to sort of safeguard that? How have you managed to do that?
Well, to be honest, we put quite a few preventative measures in place. The first thing we did, and again, it was in some unknown element of this whole pandemic. We bought an infrared thermometer. Our health and safety manager had all his PPE on, so everybody entering the building in the morning, they were scanned, their temperature. Right. They scanned every employee, myself included, and they recorded the temperature on a daily basis just to see any trends. So we did that. We restructured the shop floor. We said, okay, everybody has to be 2 meters apart. Can this work? Or how can we make it work? And, you know, to be honest, in the early stages, we put in a regime that everybody will wash their hands every hour, no matter what. So, and I think these little things give people reassurance, gives them confidence. Is telling them, look, the company is doing things. They've got a duty of care, but we also have a duty of care. So we've said to people, if you weren't feeling well, phone in, self-isolate. So we had to do all the things. Really, we followed the guidelines the best we could in our environment.
Sure. Have you had many at all cases within your organisation, or have you been fairly lucky?
To be honest, touch wood, we've been very lucky. We've had no cases.
And obviously, you must have some. Do you have office workers working from home?
We had a few office workers working from home, and again, you know, it's really helped with using the modern technology. You know, being a godsend for many businesses, Teams, Zoom, Skype, and for people that could work from home, I think it wasn't too much of a hardship. But the ones that the problem we had was because we furloughed 60% of the staff, we had to, and then we won the Rolls Royce business after that. We had to restructure a little bit to try and make sure we could meet the demands of this project. So that was challenging in itself. In
terms of keeping in contact with everyone, has that been the main thing you've?
I think Microsoft Teams, Skype we've used even things like WhatsApp with certain customers and video conferencing.
So you're using it with customers as well, are you? Not just your own staff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we would normally do is we would have monthly reviews with a lot of our customers. And in the early stages, what we had to do was we had to get some insight on how this was affecting our customers. So we scheduled video conferencing calls with all our key accounts, and a lot of people were working from home, and we really wanted to get an insight from the customers themselves, how this was affecting them and what the implications for Kirkstall Precision would be.
You must have a range of customers, I guess, yourselves. Some are trading, some are probably shut the doors. You know, what sort of range have you got?
To be honest, a lot of the big medical customers, they'd say, look, guys, we're shutting our doors, we're furloughing the workforce, and we just don't need the product purely because there was no demand. And then, you know, the bigger impact you have is you don't know when this is going to happen. So obviously, in February, March, you've manufactured products, you've shipped them to your customers, only to find out there's nobody on goods in.
Yeah,
so that's one element of it. And then the other element of it, if some businesses have shut, being a small SME, you're sort of not concerned, is probably the wrong word, but you're mindful. Will you get paid for the work you've done as well? So, you know, cash flow is key in these scenarios as well.
Thinking about obviously what you've done there in the factory, you've changed things around a little bit. You know, is there anything? You know, and some staff's been furloughed. Have you found that sort of productivity's dipped, stayed the same, or for those people that are working, productivity's gone up? You know, how would you look at that?
I'd actually say, okay, turnover's definitely gone down because of the downturn in the market, but I'd actually say productivity went up. Productivity went up. I think the small team that we had did an absolute fantastic job.
Yeah.
Not only did productivity go up, but productivity went up on new products that they'd never manufactured before, because coming back to the ventilator challenge, these were brand new parts, never done before. And we had to ship on a daily basis. You know, Rolls Royce had organised DHL to come in every single day at Pacific time and collect a given number of components. So there were unmissable deadlines, and very proud of the team. Very proud.
So you must be very proud of that you managed to reach, I suppose, accomplish that challenge. And are you still ongoing manufacturing now, or has that kind of tailed off that ventilator?
We're still manufacturing. I think we'll be manufacturing into sort of next week. Then that project obviously comes to an end. So again, we're hoping, you know, it's opened a door for us in other avenues, and we've made the contacts now. So watch this space to see in the future if we are, you know, there to manufacture parts for ventilators again. But it's been a challenge, you know, and we can sit here now saying what a great job we've done. But when you were in the thick of it all, people working Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Bank Holiday Monday, and we had DHL coming in every single day, at times it was very challenging. And I think this is where, you know, I think the team really pulled together to deliver.
Good. Can you see from where you are at the moment? Can you see, you know, your order book starting to benefit from companies? I mean, we're hearing that, you know, a lot of companies are starting to go back to work now. Obviously, manufacturing's restarted from Boris's update last night as well. Construction's reopening. Can you start to see a path ahead with the order book?
We can, but it's a little bit difficult purely because, like I said, a lot of the work that we do is for the orthopaedic industry. So we took the approach that the hospital beds will be full of coronavirus patients, and this will go on for a while. But what we are seeing is we're seeing lots of urgent orders for use in trauma in the medical sector. We're seeing urgent orders from the food industry because the food industry has been very busy running machines 24/7 when people were stocking up. So we're seeing spare parts for the food and pharma industry. So we have seen orders come in, but these have all been based on very, very quick lead times. So again, an additional challenge where people say, look, can you manufacture this, but we need it next week.
Need it tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it's difficult to say if the green shoots of recovery are there. It's too early, I would say. But, you know, I think UK manufacturing is very robust. I think, you know, if we're not careful in the UK, we're very good at talking ourselves into a recession. So it's very good to get these important messages across. So, you know, we don't want to talk ourselves into a recession. I think prior to this pandemic, the economy was in a good condition. Manufacturing was in a good condition. So I think we have to refocus our mind on that sometimes, that the manufacturing economy was stable, it was solid, and it will return. So we're definitely seeing some returns.
Most of our manufacturing customers, in some way, shape, or form, are are still open for business and continue to, perhaps not perform at pre-COVID levels, but that there is a level of performance there that's, and to some extent, some of these organisations there'll be unexpected benefits from this as well. I mean, I don't suppose, do you have any unexpected benefits that you can see out of this situation? I guess maybe new contacts, like you said, in the medical industry.
I think we've made a lot of new contacts, but I think the benefits, not just Kirkstall Precision, but a lot of manufacturing companies will get from this, and this is my personal belief, is we've had to be a lot leaner. Everybody had to be leaner. They had to be more flexible. The staff had to be more flexible. And when you start saying, look, we're going to have to furlough level of employees, then you start looking at training requirements, you look at skill levels, and you start looking at your cost controls. So I think this will focus companies to say, look, the benefits, we've got through this. And I don't think it's just a question of getting through this pandemic, it's coming out the other end and having a strong business model at the other end. So I think, what the benefits people will get is, we've used this to become better at what we do, to become leaner as a manufacturing organisation.
Let's take the positives out of that, whereas, as much as possible we can. So, whereas a lot of people are out on the road, or, we don't necessarily see each other all the time, we've actually probably seen more of each other using the Teams application. Have you sort of found any of those benefits at all?
We've seen that. We've seen there's a lot more sort of interaction going on between WhatsApp, especially with colleagues that have been furloughed, wanting to know how you are. We've even used platforms like LinkedIn. We've found more of our staff are looking at our LinkedIn platform as well, what we're posting, especially with the ventilator challenge. And to be honest, we've done lots of small things, even with the guys that are at work. We made sure the fridge is stocked up with cakes and donuts to keep the morale up. And also, when we were doing the Rolls Royce challenge, it was important to implement the social distancing, but communicate with the team on a daily basis. And even little gestures like, look, guys, bacon sandwiches are on us on Friday morning. You've done a great job, and these little things mean a lot in times like this.
It's amazing how far bacon butter goes, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think British manufacturing is built on it.
Is there any sort of parting advice or any, word of advice you want to, give us a bit of a takeaway message for anyone listening to this?
Well, what I would say is look at the help and the schemes that have been offered by the government. I think they've been very good. I actually believe what this government has done during this pandemic is surreal. I don't think it's never been done. Hopefully, it never has to be done before. I think without that, a lot of small SMEs would have gone to the wall personally. I also believe, this, like I've said, it's a natural disaster. This isn't about mismanaging companies or the economy being in a poor state. It was a pandemic, and I think pandemics will come and go. And I think if people stay positive, we don't talk ourselves into a recession, and we basically, it's the Dunkirk spirit again. Keep going. And, we will get through this. The business will come back. It's there. The UK economy is in a solid state pre-COVID-19, and that will return. There's fundamentally nothing wrong with UK manufacture.
That's fantastic. So, listen, I think we'll draw this to a conclusion now, Iqbal, but, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today. I know you're taking time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation. So hopefully there's some good advice in here that other people can take away, and, some positive messages as well. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you very much, and stay safe.
Cheers, Iqbal. Bye-bye.
Bye.